Carol.
Thank you.
Brothers and sisters of the 198 nations, Father's kingdom is directly before us. As we are moving forward through the wars, World War III, the People's War, and ultimately the Battle of Armageddon, our global leaders are preparing themselves to stand firmly in their sovereignty. But as this is Father's kingdom and not our own that we are going into, He is the one that has established our sovereignty, as He is our sovereign. So as we move forward as global leaders, our hearts and minds must truly be one mind, one heart, and one spirit with His. For we are nothing more, to be nothing more than servants of Yah, and on behalf of the people that we represent. If we do not maintain that mindset, we will find ourselves in the position that Moses found himself in, where just simply through pride and arrogance, he disobeyed Father Yah and was not able to come into the land of which he was leading his people to. Father Yah's mercy was shown to Moses. In fact, Father himself buried him. But he did allow him to see the land, but not to enter in. As we go forward, family, we do not, any of us, want to find ourselves in the situation in which Moses was in, because we all want to be able to enter in to Father's kingdom with the same mind, heart, and spirit of humility, to serve Him and to serve those that we have been placed in position to oversee. That kingdom will be so beautiful. No lack, no horrific crime that we have been dealing with from the sons and daughters of Satan and Lucifer. But it will be a beautiful and a righteous kingdom, and perfect as Father Yah had created it in the beginning. The new heaven and the new earth coming down from heaven for His children. His footstool, and He will be here with us. So as we move quickly forward, family, I pray that we will all keep these things in our hearts and our minds as we go forward, working together as a single unit of Father's righteous children. So with that, I'd like to go ahead and yield the call to Dr. Hindu I.L. Henderson, Yahoshua Mashiach. Rise and shine, sir.
Rise and shine. How do you hear me this Rise and Shine day?
Can hear you quite well, sir.
Outstanding. That's my perfect plan for the day, is that I be heard loud and clear. With so much going on, so much work, that now I find myself today having to prepare myself for, based upon all the people in which I'll be sitting down speaking and talking with this particular afternoon and evening. I want the world to recognize now what's going on. I heard you speaking about Moses, and I want to say even to you that the time for Moses is come and gone. That's not going to happen. My father is past the point of putting his prophets on the planet and allowing them to not be able to move over into the new world or into the new beginning. He's beyond that. So we don't have to even concern ourselves with that. What we need to be concerned with is what's about to happen now in the present form of who we are and where we're at. Moses now was not faced with the fact of having to worry about a would-be global shutdown. Okay, they didn't have that to worry about, but we do. We have to worry about a global shutdown. Right now, we're on the verge of a total, universal, global shutdown, and we're going to have it. You know, for me to come on in a manner where we bring the truth to tell the planet that you're going to be able to bypass this global, universal global shutdown, I would be totally setting them up for failure. And by chance, they will find themselves in a position like Moses. Unlike Moses, they won't have a second chance. Moses had a second chance. I don't know if everybody has ever heard of the story of Moses, but Moses didn't just receive one set of tablets. There were several times that Moses received a set of tablets where he found himself constantly running back to the mountains to get another set of tablets in order that he won't break them. And people are so now, they're so simple until their understanding of what is being said and what's being brought to them and where they need the revelations, or they need what I would deem to be a reflection of the truth of what was going on. When they're talking about Moses' breaking of the tablets, everyone can visual him coming down the mountainside with two would-be concrete tablets where he drops them on the ground and they splatter themselves in pieces. By far giving Moses an opportunity to try to put them back together, knowing that it was impossible. That's not the breaking of the tablets in which Moses was doing. That would be a visual for those who are a total simple mind to not recognize a reality of truth. What Moses was doing as he was bringing those tablets down, not only was Moses breaking those tablets based upon the fact that he was constantly not abiding by the laws in which was written on those tablets. Moses found himself coming down the side of the mountain, even swearing at God about just the heaviness of the burden in which he was coming down, having to bring these laws to the people, knowing that he was dealing with a stiff-necked people, a people who was not going to listen, a people who was not determined enough to even try to participate in what was right. And thereby, Moses himself was breaking of the tablets, breaking of the laws, by trying to find some way around issuing the people the laws in which Allah had given him, and he was trying to somehow find a degree of bringing it in a manner where the people wouldn't get offended. And that's what it meant when it says Moses kept breaking the tablets or the set of tablets. He was breaking what was the laws that was written in them. So when we come to a point of truth and stop having a fairy tale world mind of where we're trying to visualize someone truly coming down like Jack and Jill, going up a hill and coming down a hill, Jack falling down and breaking his crown. We see this huge crown on Jack's head that he's breaking, and that was not what that meant. A crown for Jack meant he was breaking his order of leadership, in which God, Allah, had placed upon him to be the leader and not Jill. So he kept breaking that by allowing Jill to control the situation or to control what they were going to do. We have to come to a reality of truth and stop with our would-be mentality of the fairy tale beliefs in which we have. And once we get there, United Nations, we're going to be beautiful people on this planet to be able to comply to the laws in which the laws of the land now have been reissued to the planet. With saying that, I wanted to simplify that for the simple fact of where we're at right now. The global world right now is preparing itself for a universal global shutdown. You have to have a shutdown in order to be able to reestablish yourself. This is the fear of the people right now. This is the fear of the system. It's in fear that when the shutdown happens, there won't be anyone that will be able to reopen it. This is the opening and the closing of the seals in which we're talking about. We have to understand, in order for the angels to be able to open a seal, there has to be a closed seal somewhere. And right now, based upon the universal global reset, the shutdown will be the closing of the seal. And it will only be one angel, the seventh angel, that will be able to open all of those seals. I'm just simplifying it for everyone to get what we need to understand about the revelations, or about even one who comes to say he's interpreting what has been written. So we're moving forward now, United Nations, to the point where, yes, the universal global reset for the shutdown is concerned and happening as we speak. Even though most of the nations are talking about coming up with an agreement for some would-be trade a system, or some would-be so-called peace treaty, or even to be sitting down talking about they're coming to a global understanding of how to deal with the climate change. I can assure you that every last one of them that's speaking that is a liar. And it's right there in the book. It tells you that when they come and they start speaking of that which they classify to be peace, he says, woe unto you, for there shall be great war. And that's what's happening right now. I'm constantly being asked by the people, what time frame are we in right now? Let me help the people out while the United Nations is listening, and all of the nations now are able to receive this one revelation. Right now, the time frame that you're in is called chaos. That's the time frame you're in. In other words, what's happening right now is not only are you reversed, you're also going all over the place, left and right. You're going back and forward, up and down. You're going so in a chaotic state right now that you're in a state, if you want to call it, what state are you in? What time frame are you in? Again, I'm going to repeat, you're in a chaotic time frame. Everything is happening simultaneously at the same time. The ignorance of those who would have been following Moses are still happening. They're stiff-necked. They don't want to listen. They don't want to follow the laws. And then you got those that possibly would have even been trying to follow Jesus the Christ. But they find themselves sitting at a table trying to even undermine him or somehow manipulate him, and just for him to only be able to bless them with some glorious day. And when they themselves have no desire to live in a glorious day, they just want him to give them the next meal in which they will be eating, or the next gold nugget in which they will be able to trade with someone else for something greater. Stay with me. Don't leave me now. I'm having to express and explain this to not just you, United Nations, on this call, but all of the people who call from around your United Nations. And this is more than something that I would classify to be nothing more than a tragedy. A tragedy on the part of those with simple minds, but still wanting to be so totally sophisticated that they don't recognize the simple things of life. United Nations, I always start out like this, giving you so much that I know for a fact the majority of you kind of brush it off. And that's why it brings me to a point to have to identify who we are as a family and how we're going to go forward to be able to reset this planet after it has totally had its shutdown. Once again, with great pleasure, I take upon this one particular would-be job. I call it a job because it is a task in which I have to do to get everyone on the planet to recognize it. Once again, for you to be able to identify either with them or you're going to be able to identify them. We are the World Global Network, Reset, Restoration Network family. We are 198 sovereign nations. These sovereign nations have 7 billion sovereign come together to make sure that they rid themselves of any tyranny or any of the things that might prohibit them from being able to live on this planet in a manner where it will be based upon the 5 divine principles of the universe of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. These people have come together. Yes, many of them are still in fear of getting another leader, where this leader might be another leader of tyranny or another leader perhaps of just total ignorance. And they're not in wanting to get themselves involved in it. Well, I can assure them that's not going to happen. Every individual is doing a great enough job on himself of destroying himself. Yes, the majority of the people now are doing nothing more than getting themselves high not on life, but high on drugs, walking from place to place, up all night as if though they cannot find a place to rest. Why? Because they're nothing more than living zombies, if we might even speak in a manner of being a living zombie, knowing that many zombies that we have imagined in our minds are dead. And whereby being killed off by their own would-be, I classify their own intelligence of unintelligence instincts. And thereby they will die. But that's not for everyone to start panicking about. Yeah, there will be those that will survive. Those that survive have to take on a more mental would-be capacity on the planet to be able to use that mental capacity to do the right thing and focus on the right thing and build the right thing, and thereby they will be able to live in the right thing. Other than that, they're going to also vanish off the planet. United Nations, again, I say it's always a great pleasure for me to be able to just at least be able to recognize the United Nations as a whole family. And at the same time, being a part of it, it makes me overjoyed sometimes to know that where we're at right now is beautiful. And where we came from, yes, it was uglier than one could ever imagine. Because no one yet has been all treated equally. But they will be very shortly. And I know most of the listeners that are listening now are saying, well, they've been saying that now for years. They've been saying that over and over, and I haven't seen any change yet. For those of you who are saying that, you've seen a lot of change. That's why you're sitting in one room right now with nothing but yourself. Nothing that you own, nothing that you're going to be able to own, because there has been a change. Those things that you owned before, those things that you did before, those things that you saw before, you don't see them now. That's the change. So while you're constantly preparing yourself for a climate change, you need to classify the change in which you yourself was going through. Stay with me. If you decide to hang up, that will be because of your own doom, and I'm not preaching gloom and doom, but I can assure you that you will be running towards your gloom and doom. Because you're not going to be able to do anything to make any changes yourself that's going to fix this planet, but to come to the reality of the truth and find some way to either comply or you will be destroyed. No, nobody's going to force you to do anything. You've already forced yourself to the brink of death, to the brink of annihilation. Nobody has to force you anywhere. You're going to force yourself wherever you end up. That's just the mentality of man. He forced himself out of a perfect garden. He did it. And he cannot blame God. He cannot blame Lucifer, because Lucifer was forcing himself out of the garden. So we're moving forward now in the United Nations, and I want to make sure that perhaps maybe these things I'm saying now are missing a lot of ears, and I'll tell you why. Because these things I speak to the would-be regular ear, they hear them as heavenly things. And they realize that if I'm no earthly good, how can I be any heavenly good? So I would agree with you That's why you got to find some earthly good in yourself first before you start looking for heavenly things to come from my Father. Stay with me. I'm not attacking you. I'm bringing you to the reality of truth right now, where we at and where you're going to be headed. Since you're asking me what time frame are we in, I'm telling you, we're in chaotic time frame. I asked the question because it has been asked to me based upon the media, even now trying to send it over the media to place it out there, perhaps believing one of you will be able to answer them as well. They said, how much nuclear power does the UK use? And is the power that they're using, is it safe? Let me help you out. Rolls-Royce is receiving more than about $400 million from the government and private investors to develop small nuclear reactors all over the UK. Yes. And I can assure you that the UK themselves really doesn't know how much nuclear power that they're using. You know why? Because they're trying to take portions of their power in which they were using for energy. They're trying to use it to build more weapons. Stay with me. I don't care if they get upset anyway. They already know who I am. They already know that what I'm speaking is truth. I know most of them are still trying to determine or decide or to find out some way of how did I receive all this information and how do I know so much about what's going on. I've already told them. Perhaps maybe you can tell them again for me. There is nothing hidden from the sun. As I go forward, knowing that the UK is not the only ones that are using nuclear power, not only for energy, but they're also using it to build more nuclear weapons, which now the pandemic seems to be destroying the earth based upon nothing more than nuclear power. Nuclear power known as NBC, nuclear, biological, and chemical warfare. All over the planet now, people are beginning to reach out, asking for he or she's would be, if we want to say it, their portion of what is owed to them. Mining operations now, based upon the would-be so-called energy in which China uses. China mostly uses the energy of coal, C-O-A-L, coal, just as many of the other nations found themselves using coal at one time. Now with the industry trying to erase the use of coal, believing and pretending that it causes more pollution than it does any good to warm your house or even perhaps power your would-be so-called cars. So they want you to believe that it makes more pollution. It's kind of like the vaccine now. They tell you that the vaccine, yes, it works, but they tell you that it can cause more harm than good. Because while it's protecting you from the nuclear, biological, chemical known as a blood agent, at the same time, it's doing nothing more than shutting down various organs in your body. It does good. Yeah, it'll kill the blood agent. It lessens the infection, but at the same time, it's shutting down your oxygen in your body. You can't only live on so less oxygen. You're going to need more oxygen at some time. It's kind of like a swimmer. He can stay in the water for an amount of time, but he's going to have to surface at some point. He's a mammal. He's going to have to surface at some point to be able to get some more oxygen before he goes back down. Kind of like you got it, the dolphin. The dolphin and the whale. They have a hole in the top of their head where they have to come up and every now and then blow the little water out and suck in some more oxygen. Yeah, the water goes out and the air comes in. The air kind of circulates itself all the way into their would-be veins, if we can imagine that. And those veins has little things going through it, little would-be so-called articles and those things in which would be considered blood splatters, blood particles. And the oxygen gets kind of trapped in there, and thereby the body can last for a little bit longer under the water, and this is why the whale is so huge in size. I'm giving you a simple example of what is happening to the planet right now and why it's so important for all of the planets to come together or be annihilated together. Mining operations based on the coal right now. We see what the Central Bank of Solomon is now even classifying all the Asian Pacific investment developments and all those other companies that were around of owing them millions in taxes. But everybody's talking about taxes now. Why? Because that's the way the royal family has lived their life for the past would-be 500 years. So they count 500 years. We know that they've been there now for about 999 years. 999 years, knowing that they're coming in now to 1,000 years, which says that their time of reigning is over. They already know that they can calculate better than you can the numbers. They truly believe that they made the numbers. Not going to happen. So when we look at the fact now in the United Nations that we're moving where the universal global reset is now prepared and ready to take place. At the same time, we recognize the fact that as it begins to take place, we have to first prepare ourselves for the universal global shutdown. And that is on the horizon. And the horizon now is right here with us. All of the people now that's on the planet are beginning to work together for the good of the planet, knowing that the world now is more concerned about who will be the next world power, who is going to be the next world superpower. But they already recognize that the nation that classified itself a nation and also classified itself as the most powerful nation, the superpowerful nation, the United States of America, everybody already recognizes now that they're kind of like a byword. They don't exist anymore. They have no power due to the fact they allowed themselves to destroy all the great manpower that they have. No, I'm not talking about George Washington. I'm not talking about Abraham Lincoln. I'm not talking about Barack Obama. That was not manpower. Manpower came in numbers. And the numbers were a man which no man could have numbered based upon the fact they wouldn't allow themselves to be counted. They were the men of what was classified as the land in which George Washington and them decided to say that they were founders of. And those men now still exist. No one truly knows the number of them, even though they have done a great deal of trying to kill them off the planet. They're not going anywhere. They haven't gone any place. And they'll rise up again. You have to recognize the fact that they will rise again. They are the true empire. The empire in which some Roman Empire tried to claim it by saying that the Roman Empire has never fallen. They have said that the empire, the sun has never sat on it. They have said that the Roman Empire is a place that will rise up from the ashes. And at the same time, I can tell the Roman Empire, you're a liar. You've already died. You have a few would-be homosexuals now that runs your Vatican. But, yeah, let me repeat it then, since you say you didn't understand me. You have a few homosexual faggots that runs your Vatican right now that's being depleted and destroyed as we speak. Right now, they're trying to fix your finance system because they have totally just destroyed it. All of them have taken out loans to do nothing more than buy them a new little boy that they can play games with all day. You figure out what I'm trying to say. I already told you what I was saying. They were buying toys to play games with little boys, and whereby they put the whole world in a bind, that now no one has the capabilities of building any monetary system that could be one that might be deemed, if we might say it, to a point of looking at it to have any value. No values whatsoever. Nobody wants the dollar. Nobody really wants to get rid of the gold, but nobody really truly wants to use it. Nobody wants to get rid of the oil, the gas, the natural gas, but nobody really truly wants to use it. That's why they're trying their hardest to find some energy source that they won't have to worry about using those sources to keep energy going. I can assure them that green energy will not come from trees. God Almighty. I can assure them that green energy will not fall from the sky. AOC. Miss Alexandra. Yeah. It's not going to fall from the sky. Remember, money does not fall off trees. So thereby I can assure you that you can find green energy wherever you want to. You can try to change the world. You can get out there and put your name out on the world's would-be stage to be the greatest comer from the new world of the Puerto Ricans of the planet. But I can assure you, Miss Cortez, at the end of the day, you're trying to get on the stage of the world stage to help deal with climate change and energy, and fresh green energy will save that. Let me help you out. Carbon monoxide says that you're a liar. Carbon monoxide is silence. Carbon monoxide is something that you cannot see and you cannot smell. And it says that you're a liar. Your clean energy, green energy, or whatever kind of energy is going to be laced with carbon monoxide, and you will kill the people. Why? Because you have no clue where you're going to get this green energy from. Again, I said, won't come from the trees. Where are you getting green energy from? The sun? The sun is beginning to dim itself. Not only is it dimming itself, it's beginning to shut down its heat. So where are you going to get it from? Perhaps maybe the wind is going to blow hard enough. Let me help you out. Right now, the wind has more carbon monoxide in it based upon the chemicals in which now are being administered to the people to kill them off, that the wind is not going to give you a whole lot of energy source. That's why they keep putting up these so-called windmills. It's not going to help them any. The blades even fall off. They break off these windmills based upon the fact that the windmills find themselves going through such dips, would be so-called air, until the pressure causes them to snap off. Yeah, I know what you call it. I said dense would be wind. Yeah, you get up in an aircraft and you call it turbulence. God Almighty. You haven't figured it out yet. With all the so-called intelligence that you have, and you haven't figured out yet that you cannot control the wind. You cannot control the sun. You cannot control the energy. You cannot control nothing, because everything's controlled by my Father. And you're just a mere subject. And that subject, he is telling you now, is a bad subject. In the meantime, while you think on these heavenly things, and I'll come back and talk to you a brief moment about some earthly things that perhaps maybe you might be able to maintain the new coming world in which you are going to be having to deal with. So let us all take a short break.
Thank you, sir. And yes, family, dealing with these things on a regular basis, actually, in fact, moment by moment. The very breath of life that we have only comes from one source, and that is our Creator. So our life, whether we live or whether we die, is in His hands. We know that it's raining on the just and the unjust. In other words, all of us, regardless of who we are, where we live, our background or anything else, our financial status, we're all on the same playing field or same level of being, that we must all submit ourselves to our Creator if we are intending to maintain the breath of life. We also have been given an opportunity to go forward into the kingdom of Yah through His Son, Yahoshua Mashiach, Dr. Hindu I.L. Henderson. That opportunity is called indexing. Indexing is what puts you in position and identifies you, as we must know our customer. If you go to the SOVCPR.com website, there's information on how to index yourself. It's very simple. And Dr. Henderson has paid the price for everyone on the planet to be redeemed. This is what we're entering, family, in the global reset. So with that, I'd like to go ahead and yield back to you, sir.
Wow, did you just now mention the word index?
Yes, sir.
That's a scary word to the people of the planet right now. Most of the people are so concerned with not indexing. They're trying to run from it. I don't know who told them that it was a bad thing. You know, being that right now, if we look into what is known as some so-called would-be royal castle, the one that they deemed to be Queen Elizabeth, known as Elizabeth Warren, right now, Elizabeth Windsor is doing nothing more than trying to, notice I keep calling her Warren, because she warns the people. But they don't take notice to her warning. Her warning means nothing to them. It's that they believe that she's so royal that she's going to be able to get them and her out of trouble whenever she wants to. And I can assure them that's never going to happen. But right now, she's trying to realign her whole would-be so-called royal family. Realign them? Yeah, she's trying to get them indexed. Right now, she's only got so many slots that she can index. So perhaps maybe just by chance, Harry and Meghan and the two children may be left out of their would-be so-called indexing. They don't have enough slots for them. So meantime, they're trying to shuffle around the titles to various members of the family. Our Eunice, we might call her that, Eunice, which just had a baby too, coming from the family of Andrew. They're trying to look for some place and slot for her children. So let's just say Harry's children may be moved out of the would-be so-called royal line or lineage where he might be able to save his children. And they all just might find themselves off the planet very soon. But as it would be said by her, I'm pretty sure, who cares? Someone is going to have to be shut out. She don't care. I can assure her, she can give her slot to someone else, the queen. At her age right now, most of the people in the real world right now would be pretty much putting themselves in a position to realize that they have one foot in the grave and the other one still trying to live. Stay with me. For those of you who love her so much, I'm not attacking her. I'm just giving you facts. Again, I repeat, because of her age right now, and she having one foot in the grave and the other one in life, she could give up her slot to one of those people in which she's trying to now find some way to index them out of her would-be royal line of lineage, if it might be royal, knowing that it's not. So we're dealing with everything that's going on the planet right now. Knowing that one might say right now, with all the failures that are going on, and we have a failure to communicate. I understand. So now we got to develop a system that's going to save the planet. Nobody wants to truly develop that system. That is going to have to be the system that will save the planet based upon getting rid of a lot of people that we don't truly need. That's the way they see it, not me. Don't blame me for it. So as we begin to work out this plan of protecting the world, we have to move quickly. United Nations. As we go forward now, counting the many people in which we have on the planet has enough space, it has enough of everything that we need to be able to live on the planet in a more decent manner in which we have never lived before. And the only way that we're going to accomplish this is by everyone coming together, he and she working together to fix the planet. They have to. They don't get a choice. And with knowing that, we are going forward in a world now where all the things are changing. The leaders are beginning to recognize that not only is there a would-be so-called change of the climate, but the people are changing. The system changed for a reason, for the betterment of the whole planet. So I say this was a short moment for me to come back to say that, but let us all arise to the occasion. Let us all comply to what's being administered to the planet, and we all will be okay. Meantime, I looked outside my window, and my work has just begun for you. So let me go to work. It's day, and man must work while it's still day, for when night coming, no man can work. As for you, United Nations, you get an opportunity to get a little bit of rest. I would say rest quickly, for the day will begin very soon. Get your rest. Peace and love at nightfall.
Thank you, sir.